Welcome to Sure Thing. We're Lakey Peterson
and Kaleigh Gilchrist, two athletes who love exploring the world and sharing our stories.
We'll be taking you through the good times, the tough times, and everything in between.
Basically, it's about chasing dreams, staying inspired, and having fun along the way.
Thanks for hanging out with us.
Hey everyone, this is the Sure Thing podcast with Lakey Peterson and Kaleigh Gilchrist. And we have an exciting episode. I think I say that every time because I do get excited for all of our episodes and just to hang out and chat with Lakey. But we are going to talk all things Lakey Peterson today. So Lakey it's currently, your season's starting right around the corner. You've had a big preseason. We want to hear, what does the World Surf League Championship Tour look like? So first off, how are you feeling? Are you getting excited? Are you getting nervous? What are the vibes?
Yeah, we're getting ready to go here pretty soon. It's been a really long off season for us this year. For those that don't know, they kind of changed the schedule for 2026. And because they changed the schedule, it's better, but it gave us like an extended off season from what we normally have. So I've actually really enjoyed the entire 7 months off, basically, that we've had, maybe more.
When was the last time you had 7 months off? Let me just ask that question. Because I don't.
When I was like
exactly.
10.
Wow.
Like, serious. Yeah. So you would kind of know how nice it feels to just take a break. Obviously, you're retired now, but when you're in it and just grinding, you almost just don't even know the difference. And then when you finally stop, you're like, oh, wow, I really needed this.
And I always found it it was so nice to have a longer period of time. Like having 2 or 3 weeks off was almost the worst time because you still felt like you had to train to stay in shape. Like there's always the fear in the back of your mind. I'm going to get out of shape. Someone's going to surpass me. So when you had an extended period of time, you're like, okay, let me have fun, get out of shape, but I have enough time to get back in shape.
100%. I've never had it. You just nailed it. Like I went to Italy and had pizza and wine and just did all the things, but then I've had time to come back and be in shape, and now I feel good. But yeah, so I feel good. I'm excited. It's my 13th season this year, which is crazy to say. I mean, it's gone so fast, slow but fast, how life goes, feels like. But But yeah, I feel really good. We start off in Australia, right here at Bells Beach, which really feels like home to me. Obviously, Tom, my husband's from here, so I've spent so much time here. I spent so much time here leading into this season too. It's been nice. We've been able to stay just with his family. So I've been here honestly for a couple months, just getting ready. And I guess, as you know, KG, I guess with doing this for a long time, doing anything for a long time, probably how you felt towards the end of your career, like you just have a lot of perspective. So I guess I just have perspective going into this year, and some fire too, like Splash. And he can hear me. And I don't know. I guess I just want to really enjoy it all, but also I feel like I have a little bit of a chip on my shoulder and something to prove. Just after the last few years, I don't feel like I've fully performed at my best. And I feel like I can this year. So that's exciting.
That's a scary place for some competitors. Gets fire under Lakey. I mean, I know she's always fiery. She's always prepared, but that extra motivation, I'm excited to watch this season. For those that don't know, what does a preseason look like? What are you doing? You're saying you're prepared and you're getting ready, but does that mean you just get to surf a lot? Are you watching film? Are you trying new boards? This, I think, episode will be great for the listeners that don't necessarily know surfing as well as we do.
Yeah, I think that's a good question, just to paint the picture of kind of what it's like to be a pro surfer and what that looks like. There's definitely a misunderstanding, I think, of surfers from the general public. I think a lot of people just think we smoke weed and hang out and don't do much. Basically, which we don't. We actually get drug tested all the time, and you can't do drugs or smoke weed, nor would I either way. But yeah, my preseason training, obviously, as you're probably the same. The longer you do it, the more it kind of tweaks and changes, and kind of figure out what you need the most. And I think things become more important and less important at certain stages of your career. Obviously, my body just feeling good and ready is like a huge one for me now, especially with the amount of travel we're going to have this year. So the last couple months I've had a training program that I worked on with my trainer, Peter Park, shout out, from back home, as well as my husband, Tom. So I kind of started, I was just very out of shape, which I think was good. a couple months ago to be out of shape finally for once. So I just started with like basic strength. And then as we've gotten closer, I sort of changed every 2 weeks my program with Peter, every 2 to 3 weeks. It became more out of the basic strength into like a lot of pop and plyometric and trying to get really explosive. Because I think a big thing, especially just being not that I'm old, but a little bit older, you lose a bit of that like speed compared to the young girls. So a lot of my training has been based around just getting that speed back and just looking really sharp on a wave and fast on a wave. For those of you listening, you don't surf that much, like you can really tell when someone's going fast on a wave and keeping their speed through their turns and their maneuvers. It just looks like it's at a higher level, because it is, and that's really hard to do. So I think there's some stuff in the gym I've been doing that's helping with that, or at least trying to. And then, surfing kind of twice a day. So long as there's waves, I'll surf in the morning, train in the middle, and then surf again in the evening, depending on like the wind and the tides. But that's sort of how I try to schedule it. And then watching footage and also sending footage to my coach and then getting his feedback. So it's a lot. The preseason is the most surfing I probably do all year. I surf a lot, obviously, through the year. But the emphasis is on surfing reps and then figuring out, my boards and my equipment for each wave, because that kind of changes depending on the surf, which is sort of interesting. So yeah, it's been a lot, but it's been really good. And I've loved being in Australia. It just makes it easy because I'm not home with distractions. I can just lock in and train and surf, and I don't feel like there's much else that I need to focus on. So
just the Sure Thing
that's
podcast.
Just talking to you, which I love. This is a good break for me.
So, we're leading into it. You got Bells is the first contest of the year coming up right before you know it. What are your goals that you want to accomplish this year?
That's a big question.
You got to say world title. That's why you're doing it.
Of course. Goes without saying. The world title always is the goal, people. Every time you got to aim for it. And believe it. I've learned like you can have these big goals, but if you don't actually believe you can do it, then what's the point, Yeah. And I think that's actually been something that's been hard for me, is truly believing, especially, not that I've had that like a terrible couple of years competing, but I haven't been my best in terms of where I finished at the end of the year. So that can kind of hit your confidence and make you think like,
and
gosh,
when Lakey says she hasn't been her best, this means like she's still top 10 in the entire world of all women's surfing. So this is what we're talking about here. And we all know, as competitive athletes and professional athletes, the margins are so slim. So Lakey, an 8th place finish might not be where she wants. She wants to be, first, second, third. So I understand, but I want our listeners to know who we're talking to, one of the best surfers for the past decade.
Thanks, Kaleigh. No, it's definitely, it's so close when you get to that tippy top. Like, as it's everyone's right there and doing all the right things. And but to go back to your question, I think obviously the goal is the world title. I would love to win. I have a photo of my goal board. Did I send that to you? No, you just saw it on my story.
Yeah, but you should send it. I want to see it.
I'll send it to you.
I'll send you mine.
Okay, perfect. We'll trade off. And so I have I've written out like the amount of points I would need at the end of the year. That usually would get the person a world title, right? Your collective points between all 10 events, what that kind of average has been the last few years. So I kind of know like where I think I can place at every event, where my better events are, where my events are of weakness, but what I could do to improve. So I would love to win, a couple of events. Bells would be the top one I'd want to win. Actually, that's the big, you want to win every event, but there's definitely certain ones that would mean a little bit more. And I think winning
that's
a
special.
bell
It's second that's
the one I want the most. So,
and it's in a kind of
win at Bells
spot too. Like Bells has been on the tour for decades and decades, and there's a handful of locations on the tour where you circle and you want to win those. And Bells, I would say, is probably on the top of many surfers' lists.
Definitely, it's the longest running surf contest on our calendar. And it's just iconic. It's kind of like, I don't know. I don't want to say it's like Wimbledon for tennis, because you have events like Pipeline and things that probably hold more prestige in a way if you actually win that event. But I guess it just feels like a Grand Slam if you had one. for us. So yeah. And then also along with that, I think in my actual surfing, I've wrote down in my goals this year of just having a little bit of a different look. I've been doing this for a long time, and there's obviously a certain way that I surf, and there's strengths that I have. Like my big power wrap is a very big strength I go to all the time. But in saying that, I do believe that, we have judges in our sport, and that can get a little bit stale looking, even if it's the best wrap I've ever done, the biggest carve I've ever done. I think they've seen it so many times that for me this year, I feel like I need to give them something fresh to look at, like something new to look at. So a big goal of mine is having some new repertoire to kind of be able to splice in with my standard baseline of surfing. So
Do you think
I
that's
actually really hope I can do that.
do you think that's a little unfair, just with a sport that gets judged, or do you just look at it is as it is, and this is what I need to do to change things up?
That's a good question. I guess in a way you could say it's unfair because good surfing's good surfing. So if I go do
Yeah.
my best carve you've ever seen me do, but they've seen me do that maneuver 150 times, then some girl who doesn't usually choose that maneuver does the best that same carve. They honestly usually would probably give the other person maybe a slightly better score for it. And they talk about this a lot on the men's tour. Like if a guy like Italo does a huge full rotation, they've seen it like 100 times. So Italo will complain like, you're not giving me the score you'd give a guy that doesn't do airs all the time, but if he did the same one, you'd give him a huge score. And I don't know if that's true or not, but I think that is something that's definitely been talked about. And I think the surfers
Yeah.
communicate that to the judges. And I also feel like for the judges, they are human, so they do score you based off of what they've seen. And I think them being human is just part of the judging criteria. Like you have to realize they've seen me do that same maneuver 100 times. So I think if I was a judge, I'd be a little bored of it too, So I don't know if
Yeah.
it's controversial or just kind of like that's
It
just
is what it
them
is.
being human and it is what it is, and they're doing the best they can. I don't feel like they're trying to actually score people differently at all. I just think that's human nature.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So
So for the listeners that don't necessarily know about surfing, can you share, like, we're talking about the World Surf League, the World Championship Tour. Can you share what that is? How many surfers are on it? What is kind
yeah,
of your track to get to the top?
yeah, that's a great question. So for our listeners who aren't big surfers or understand how it works, which is so fair because it is pretty confusing, I compete on the WSL Championship Tour, which is the World Surf League, which is our main league that we compete in for surfing, from junior pro events all the way up to the level I surf at, which is the highest level, the Championship Tour. We have 10 events in our regular season all over the world. So we have 3 events here in Australia, and then we go to South America, we go to California, we go all over the place. We go to the South Pacific, Fiji, Tahiti, Pipeline in Hawaii. So, anyways, those 10 events are all sort of different styles of waves, different styles of surfing that you need to have in your repertoire. They're big waves, small waves, waves over reef, waves over sand. Like it's everything you could think of, which is great because that really makes the surfers all have to be well-rounded and show what they can do going both ways, right and left, etc. And then we get 2 throwaway events, so you kind of have 2 chances to not mess up, but we all have our kind of bogey events, bad events, so you can mess up twice and those don't count at the end of the year. And the goal is to have the most collective points at the end of the year, if that makes sense. So through all of those 10 events, dropping your worst 2 results, you want to have the most points. And if you do, you're the world champ, which I feel like is a really fair way to judge surfing because within surfing, there are so many variables. We have a panel of judges when we're surfing heats. Heats are 30 minutes long. There's a panel of 5 judges with a head judge in there as well. And then you have the ocean you're dealing with. So there's just a lot out of your control. So I think having a long season with plenty of events and crowning the world champ just kind of based off of that overall collectiveness of points is really the fairest way to get who was the best surfer that year, in my opinion. And
Yeah,
in the
I
past,
agree
they've
too.
dabbled with doing like a surf off thing, which was cool for viewership. But I think like the real world champ is who wins like those events, So that's sort of the goal and kind of how it works. Do you feel like I explained that well? Did I miss anything there?
No, I think you nailed it. Now my next question would be, so how do you get there? Like, can you just sign up to make the world tour, or what is the process to get you on to the top?
Yeah. So great question. Like anything, it's kind of stepping stones from when you're young. So when I was kind of 10, 11, 12 years old and I started competing, I was just doing local events up and down California for this little surf contest organization called the NSSA, which Kaleigh, you did many as well. You kind of can sign up as a Grom and do those. That actually is a separate organization from the World Surf League, but it's sort of where you start if you're in California or Hawaii, just doing stuff locally, etc. And then to get onto the championship tour, no, you cannot just sign up. It's very hard to qualify. It's very elite. There's 24 girls and there's 34 men, 32. I don't know, something like that.
I think so.
Which are the best in the world. Yeah, we should. Sorry, boys. I should know that's bad. But yeah, so you start off by doing what they call regional qualifying series events. So for instance, for us in California, which Kaleigh would have done a lot of these too, there's one I think like in Pismo now. There's one at I don't know, not Point
Pismo, Morro Bay.
Morro Bay. Yeah. So you do those, and if you finish, I should know again, I think it's within like the top 5 ranking of those within your whole region of California. So they have those in Australia, they have those in Hawaii, they have those in California, in Europe, all over the world, Brazil, South America. So you have to finish within the top 5 out of all those events collectively in your region. Then you can qualify for what's called the Challenger Series, which is the step before getting on the championship tour that I'm on. The Challenger is a full tour that you do throughout the year. I believe it's 6 or 7 events. That changes sometimes.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And yeah, for the girls, you have to finish. There's hundreds of people on the Challenger. Maybe not hundreds, but close to. Yeah. And the girls, you got to finish in the top 10 at the end of that season. So again, kind of works similar to the championship tour, where you have this tour of 7 events and it's your collective points at the end of the year. You're hoping to be within that top 10. And if you are, for the women, then you qualify onto the championship tour that I'm on. And for the championship tour surfers, if you're in the bottom 10, you drop off and those new girls come on. So you always are trying to stay above that, the bottom 10, because otherwise you'll fall off tour.
Yeah, and then there's some people, when you fall off the championship tour, you don't have to go back to regionals. You can go straight to the Challenger Series. So you get to, because of where you've been, you get to skip that one of the 3 steps to get to where you want to be, if that makes sense. And this is a forever changing process. Like, the World Surf League has done a great job over the years trying to figure out what works best for surfers, what's financially viable for surfers, how Lakey got on tour 13 years ago and what that tour looked like is completely different from what it is today. So kudos to them. I know, they get some backlash, and rightfully so in some areas, but I think they're making the best surf league possible and trying to put the surfers in some of the best waves possible too.
Yeah, no, it's definitely gotten better over my whole time competing for all the tours. It's become way more of a legitimate career path, especially for the women, even with things like prize money and stuff like that. So it is cool to see the improvement. Where did you do what Challenger events? You went to a lot. Where did you go?
I was like 2017 was like my big year where I did the tour. So we were just doing, there were still 6,000s is what they were called. Like, they weren't the 10 stars or 6 stars yet. They moved them to the 6,000s were the highest, but I didn't have much of a ranking. So I was just flying all over, just trying to get some points. So back then there wasn't that regional, I mean, I've done a bunch of the regional contests lately, but there wasn't the regional series. So you would fly around the world for maybe a small point event, like a 1,000. So essentially, if you win, you get 1,000 points. So it was crazy. Like, flew all over to maybe make a heat. And, I wonder, like, you understand why it's so difficult for professional surfers to continue to do what they do with how expensive travel is.
Yeah, it's so gnarly. It's actually something that that I think the WSL needs to work on and is trying to work on, just on that lower level tour, to make the prize money a little better, so it's just more achievable for people who maybe don't have support or sponsors or whatever it is, because there's so much talent out there but there's, it's so expensive. And so unless you kind of have some of that backing, or at least you're going to make at least a few heats to cover the cost of going there and competing in these lower level events to one day, hopefully make the tour, it can be a little bit of a deterrent because it's really hard financially to get there.
Yeah, I totally agree. And then becomes more of a sponsor war than actually a surf off or surf war. So, but they're
Yes.
definitely making headway. I enjoy as a fan watching all the time. The broadcasts are great. Announcers are great. Personalities are fun. So I've
Yeah.
enjoyed it, and I'm really looking forward to this year. So this is the first year there's 24 women on tour.
Yeah.
Does that
So
make
cool.
you nervous? Does that excite you? Are you thinking like about damn time? There used to only be 17 of us.
Yes, I am. It's about damn time. So, yeah, for the listeners who don't know, for the girls, the men's has always been like 32 to 36 men, fluctuating. Again, I need to know that number.
It used to be, I
Anyways,
remember it used to be top 44 back in the ASP days.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true. And then they brought it down. But anyways, they've always had a fair bit more than us. Granted, there's a lot more men surfers, I would say, or was back in the day, probably just as many girls now. But anyways, for the women, we've always only had the top 17, or actually 16, and then 2 wild cards get into the event, whether it's a local wild card or a sponsored wild card. So 18 competing at each event, but really 16 girls, and that's the top 16 girls in the world. So it's like it's so elite and so hard to stay on tour. Think about that. That's like crazy. So I think for a long time, women surfing when I first got on the tour certainly wasn't as popular. It wasn't as much of a career path, like I was saying earlier, as it is now with just sponsorships and prize money. It was a lot harder. So I don't feel like girls were getting pushed to get into it as much as the boys, because I felt like if you were a male pro surfing, you made it, it was really worth it. But early on, if you made it as a female, it maybe wasn't really worth it, in ways, I guess, financially speaking, lifestyle-wise, incredible, obviously.
It's like go to college, get a job, and make way more money, probably.
Yes. So I think, since it's become way more legit just with sponsorships, prize money, etc., that's obviously pushed more girls to want to do it. And obviously surfing is just so fun, and the lifestyle is why we love it so much anyways, to get to do what we get to do. But I just feel like the pool of talent for the ladies has just exploded over the last, I would say, at least, especially the last 5 years. Last 10 years, there was kind of my generation, which was a big uptick. And then the last 5 years, there's been this new shift again. That's really, I don't know if you agree, but I mean, it's gone next level on the women's side.
It's insane.
So cool.
Like the clips I'm seeing, and there's like these girls I've never heard of, and I'm watching these clips. I'm like, what? They just did that full row on like a 8-foot face, like no biggie as a 14-year-old. I'm like, dude, this is nuts.
Insane. Yeah. So I think, it was just about time to expand the tour. And I really pushed for it. Honestly, I was on a lot of calls this last year with the WSL. I kind of represent the girls tour a little bit. I'm one of the people to talk to them and give feedback to them. And so I remember I was on a call.
Give yourself some kudos.
I don't know. I don't even know how I got selected for this role, but the girls were like, Lakey, you do it. So I do it. But I remember being on a call earlier, like a year and a half ago. And they're like, hey, what do you think about doing this? And I was like, please do it. I don't care what anyone else says. The girls need this so badly. Whether all the girls agree or not, I really believe like this is the best thing for women surfing, is to expand the women's tour from 18 to 24.
Why wouldn't some females or some girls agree? Just because they were a little bit nervous of their position, maybe opening it up, and just the competitive nature? Yeah. Because
most of the girls agreed. Obviously can't say names, but most of the girls agree. I mean, I'd say 90% of the girls were all for expanding the tour. There was a couple that weren't. And I think maybe that was, I don't know. I'm not sure why, honestly. I think really it is for the greater good for all the women on tour moving forward in our generation. So anyways, I'm very excited that expansion's happened. I just think everyone is so good now on the women's tour. It's so exciting. There's totally enough talent to fill all of those spots, and for every heat from round one to be just fireworks, And it's going to be a lot of fun. I think there's such a great blend this year of the new talent, the young girls, the Katies, the Mollys, the Carolines, even younger ones that have qualified too, who are, going to be future world champs for sure. The rookies coming on. And then myself, Steph's coming back. I was just up on the Gold Coast, actually. I was surfing with Steph, and we were talking about it. I was like, the vibe in the locker room is a lot different now. Let me tell you, you're going to be baffled on the young girls. She's like, I know. So, and Chris is coming back. So I just think my point being that it's just a really cool pool of women this year. And I'm actually really excited to be competing with my peers, you know, the two GOATs and Chris and Steph coming back, as well as the young ones. I just think it's going to be an insane year of women surfing. Like, so cool.
No, it's going to be so awesome. I mean, even when Riss retired, I was like, dude, there's no way. There's more in there.
No way. Right?
There's no way. I
You
mean,
could
she
tell.
did some badass things, like obviously had a child, and you know what she's doing is so inspiring for all the moms and future moms out there. But I'm so excited to see her and Steph, you know, just and everyone, you know, the Aaron Brooks and the young guns just coming, you know, just gonna go
Full
off.
force.
So I'm excited to watch the season. You talked a little bit about like the schedule. You basically go around the world.
Yep.
Do you have favorite spots? Obviously, you mentioned Bells. And then, controversially, do you have some spots that maybe, I don't know if dread's the right word, but that you don't get that stoked on and it's hard to get extra motivated to surf?
Yeah, no, it's a fair question. I definitely have my favorites, you know. I think wave-wise for me, I grew up in Santa Barbara, California. So I'd say my strength in surfing is right-hand point breaks. That's like where I think I can perform at my highest and have my best results. So I love, you know, the J-Bays. I love even the Bells and the Winkies, the Snapper Rocks. You know, we go to El Salvador. That's a really beautiful right-hander. So those events for me, I'm always get there and I'm like, oh, I'm licking my lips because I feel like I can get a huge result here. And, you know, it's great to have those in my back pocket. That being said, obviously the tour has come so far, as we were talking about earlier, for the women's tour and the locations we have. And so this year, you know, we have Pipe, we have Tahiti, Chopu, and we have Fiji, which is Cloudbreak, which for those of you who are listening or watching who don't know, those are probably the 3 best shallow water reef breaks in the world. Wouldn't you say? Wave-wise?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I haven't surfed any of them. And I probably don't really want to because they're so scary and they're shallow and gnarly and mainly left-handers. So, you know, a goofy footer's dream, which Lakey is not a goofy footer.
No, I'm not. Learning on the fly here still. But they're very intense waves. They break over really shallow reef, which is what makes them really scary because it's very easy to bounce off the bottom, makes the wave really powerful and scary. They're waves that you can get hurt at, like very severely hurt at. And so those are the spots that for me are, I don't want to say I dread them, but they're challenging and I just know I'm going to be scared. And I know every time I paddle out, free surfs and in a heat, I'm going to probably be scared. And so it's actually been it's been kind of difficult to be on tour and have those waves added because it's such a different style of surfing than I kind of grew up doing or ever thought I would have to do. And I was actually telling my husband the other day, I was like, wow, it's crazy. I've had some of the best waves of my life this last year. And all the waves that have been the best waves of my life the last year have been waves I actually never thought I would probably surf, like in Tahiti. Even some waves we were surfing a pretty intense little wave the other day and I got a crazy wave and I probably wouldn't have taken off on that wave, you know, even 4 years ago because I wouldn't have had to. We wouldn't have had waves of that caliber or of that intensity on the tour, but it's pushed me to do it. And it's made me realize just how much more fun even surfing can be than I thought it even was when you really push yourself outside of your comfort zone bubble in those waves. But yeah, that being said, just to come back to your question, it's hard. I'm really scared and I'm not afraid to say that ever. And sometimes it's really obvious when you watch my heats that I'm really scared. But also I just think that's where you can kind of have the best moments of your life or your career too. If you really push yourself in those moments and you get one, you know, even if you don't win the heat, I'm always thinking those waves, like even if I don't win the heat, but I push myself or I win on one that I didn't think I would, or I get one good one, or I tried one, but I didn't make it. That's like a win for me because I know I'm pushing it. And I think at this stage in my career, that's really hard to do because you're so comfortable and just like, oh, I don't know. Do I really need to go do that? I'm not 18. I'm not going to be on tour for another 13 years, so I think it's easy to get comfortable, but those waves make me uncomfortable and they scare me for sure. I stop looking at the forecast, especially pipe. I'm like, this is going to drive me insane. It's 100 foot, 2 foot, 100 foot, 2 foot. I'm like, turn it off.
Well, I don't blame you. Those waves are very scary. And I think they were added in the past, 3 or 4 years. The World Surf League and some female surfers really advocated to get some more intense waves on tour because they believe that the surfers can conquer them and that they want to push the level and limits of female surfing, which in the past 4 years, everybody on tour has proven that that was the case. And it's just raising the bar of female surfing and charging big waves. So when I saw all those get added, I was like, oh my gosh, thank God I didn't grow up thinking I had to go surf pipe. Like I was like, yeah, let's go to the Hawaii, hang out, and let's go surf some other fun little. Let's just go to Rockies.
It's so funny. Like, I'm not even kidding. Even at Chopu this last year, there was like a code red swell before the event, and I was like,
yes, that's right.
Oh my God! And it was like leaking into the event window, and you're like, are they going to run us? It's just so mentally, it's really taxing. You cannot look at it because you just you'll freak yourself out. It's too scary. But I think all the girls feel the same in that way.
Yeah. As a friend and a fan, like I think that's where I've seen your biggest progression is in big waves. And it is really cool to see you push yourself outside of your comfort zone and seeing a lot of other females and your peers do the same. So how did you get over the hump? Like I know you still say you're scared every day, but you're still pulling into giant waves and making advancements.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think when I was little, like way younger, even before we had maybe the pipes or even the Chopus on tour, waves like Margaret River used to scare me a lot, which is a wave we go to in Western Australia. It's kind of just big, open face, windy, choppy. Like it's just an intense, bigger, I don't know, thicker water wave, I guess, in a way. I don't know. You're not really scared of the reef there, but you get big hold downs, I should say. And
sharks.
And a lot of sharks. And so waves like that, I realized I gotta have to figure this out because growing up in Santa Barbara, I would just surf like 3 foot rincon every day. That was literally it. I didn't grow up going to Hawaii. I didn't grow up going, to any spot. So I think working with Mike Parsons early on in my career really helped that. We would go to Hawaii. He would take me out at Sunset Beach, which is, obviously a bigger wave that's got a lot of water moving. Just kind of slowly get used to it. But I think for me, going with someone like that who just had the knowledge, who I fully trust and trusted, it was like, okay, I'm scared, but I really know Mike of anyone is the most qualified person to help you learn, slightly bigger waves, obviously being a big wave surfer himself. So that was really helpful for me just because I could be scared, but also knew like he's not going to let anything happen to me and he wouldn't push me past where, what he knows I'm capable of. And I really did truly believe that and still do. So I think that was really a great move for my career. And then moving forward into waves like when we got pipe and when we got Chopu and Fiji, it's all about just going there and putting yourself out there. Even when I go surf pipe, since the first day I ever paddled out there, I'm scared every time. I don't care if it's even shoulder high, I'm scared because it's so shallow and the takeoff is so intense. And I always go out and I think, okay, if you don't catch a wave this surf, but you just sit here and you learn and you see where all the other good guys are taking off and you just have a look at a few or you whatever. I mean, try and catch a wave. That's still learning and that's still good and that's still money in the bank. And I think that perspective's really helped me because any other wave, if I paddle and I don't catch a wave, it's like, that's like almost it's a waste of a session. Doomsday. Yeah. So I think just kind of shifting your perspective for me, like, okay, just go out. If you get one, great. And if you're in the spot, and it's your moment, you got to go. Like, you cannot, not go. You can't pull back because you won't get another one. And everyone's going to have zero respect for you. So that's a bit intimidating, but I think just having the open-mindedness of just like, I can learn from you, whether I catch 0 waves or 20 waves this surf out here. And it just makes you more comfortable every time you paddle out. I've paddled out at pipe when it's huge and I don't ride a wave, but then I sit on the shoulder and then I paddle out the next way. It's half the size and it's like, oh, I could do this. Yesterday was 5 times the size. Even though I didn't catch a wave, this feels way more mellow all of a sudden. So I think that's been a really big one for me. But at some point, you just got to put your head down and go. And that's really hard. But you just realize like, okay, I'm going to be okay,
Yeah, that's so funny. I mean, not that I'm surfing pipe at all. I'm surfing like maybe head high Newport, but I've noticed the times when I'm not in a normal routine of surfing a lot, like whether it's an injury or obviously like a pregnancy or water polo takes over, you get so
Mm,
much more scared. Like you paddle out and it's, a big south or
yeah,
maybe you're paddling out a point. I'm like, whoa, I used to never think twice of this. But now I do
yeah.
because you don't get the reps, and it's just so important. I mean, in any sport, in anything, in any endeavors, how important reps and consistency are. But I've even noticed in my small little surfing world too how
Oh
nerve wracking
yeah,
it can be.
totally. Totally. And then you surf for like a week at home, even for you, and then you're probably like, okay, I'm good. Like this feels
Yeah,
great now. But it's just that initial, like, it's like why going to Hawaii is so good for us surfers because you spend a month there and the first day you paddle out, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so much power. And then by the end of the month, you're just like, whatever, take another one on the head. It's fine. You
yeah.
just kind of, yeah, you build into it.
Yeah, totally. I think
Yeah.
we've heard so many stories. Those that follow surfing have heard the crazy stories of the 90s or the early 2000s and just those iconic surfers that did it all, partied hard the night before, then won the world tour. Like is there
Yeah.
any of that is still involved in the World Surf League on the championship tour? Like, can you give us
Yeah.
some tea or some gossip, or is everyone just buttoned up and professional as can be?
Oh, it's such a good question. So, obviously, the early 2000s, late 90s, as you said, the tour was pretty rogue. It was Partyville. Like, you're so right. I mean, I know of stories where guys would go party all night and the next day they go out for a world title heat and they're just like
Yeah.
still
Probably had
drunk,
some
like
extracurriculars in their bodies.
literally. Like, it's pretty crazy. So now it is so different. It's from that, it's not even funny. I mean, I still after every event, people go out. Whoever wins will go
Yeah,
party, and
celebrates.
people go join them or have a few drinks. Of course, there's a party at every sort of event, but it's always towards the end or
Yeah.
after or the last night. That finishes. I'd say during the event, there is none of that. It's just too hard. Everyone's too good on the men's and the
Mhm.
women's. It's just, and I don't want to say that back in the day everyone wasn't everyone was really good then too, but I feel like everyone was kind of partying and taking it loose. Whereas now everyone is, eating well, training every day,
Yeah.
sports psychs, like doing all the things of a professional athlete to be the best in the world. That if you are partying and not doing those little one percenters, that are actually so important, you will fall behind. You might have a couple good results here and there, kind of just based off talent or luck, but I just don't think you could hang in the long run because everyone's just trying too hard and is too dialed in. Um, so yeah, and also now we get drug tested, which I think is great. Obviously, we're an Olympic sport, which is amazing, and you know, I I really more than anything want the sport to be taken seriously, and think we should get drug tested. I think that's been just awesome, and it just buttons everyone up, which yeah, I'm all for that. I think that's been great for the surfers and for surfing in general. I sometimes think like, the guys from back in the day probably come to an event and watch, or some of the girls, and they come watch for fun, and they're probably like, these
They're so
these girls and
soft. They're
guys are
like,
so
"What's going
soft.
on?"
Yeah, like you walk in the men's locker room, it's like Jack doing breath work in the corner, Griffin's meditating, it's Lowe's like
Yeah.
punching the bag. The same with the girls. It's like one of us is warming up also. It's just so, I mean, I love it. It's such a pro sport now, and I think that's really cool, but it's probably easy to make fun of for the old timers. I get it.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. I agree with you. I mean, if you want the sport to move forward, I think it has to be professional. Yeah, just don't piss off the WADA or anything, or else they'll come knock on your door at 5 a.m. for some drug
They'll
testing.
come and knocking. You've
They'll
had a
find
couple of
you.
those 5 a.m.ers, huh?
Oh, yeah, I got like I missed one. It was a disaster. Oh my gosh. But
Same.
yeah,
Oh,
it's
it's
scary.
terrifying
Like
when you're
talk
like,
about
"Oh, I didn't change
anxiety.
my timeline. I'm not
Yeah.
home. I forgot." And you're at my
Yeah, for those
house.
that don't know, like if you're in an Olympic sport, you have to basically, if you're in the testing pool, you have to change your whereabouts. Essentially, where you have to tell them an hour every day of where you're going to be, but you
Yeah.
have to add updates basically throughout the entire day. And they
Yeah.
can come and test you whenever, but specifically if you're not there at the home during the hour, you get a strike. And if you have 3 strikes, you're out. Like
You're out.
can't compete, you're
Yep.
on probably a year to 2-year probation, and that's it. Like you can't really argue your way out of it. So it is really nerve-wracking. Like I've known a few people that had 2 missed tests and like
Oh no.
walking on eggshells. Yeah, it's like it's great. I really do think it's great and I understand why they do it, but it's just an
Yes.
extra level of stress that we as athletes don't need in our lives either. Like I feel like there's
Yeah.
some way you can figure it out. But anyways,
Yeah.
that's the world of getting drug tested, which isn't that
Yeah.
fun.
It's fun.
Um all right, so you as you're about to start your 13th year, you're a vet, which is crazy.
I know.
Where do you think you've seen like the biggest growth in women's surfing and where do you think it still has to go?
Mm. I think the biggest growth in women's surfing has definitely been in those waves of consequence that we were just talking about. So I think
Yeah.
in waves like Pipeline, like a Chopu, Fiji, anything like that, um, definitely over the past 5 years. I mean, honestly, girls, we just didn't even surf that. It went
Yeah.
from the women not surfing that. I mean, a few girls back in the day, got to give credit where credit's due. Like there was some OG girls that were charging out there, but on a whole, um, I mean, I didn't surf pipe until 5 years ago when I had to because we had a contest. So I was like, well, I better paddle out. So I think I've just seen, the young girls really grab the bull by the horns and not just paddle out, but be so brave and send it and be technically really good in the barrel, like stalling, slowing down, speeding up, figuring out how to get deeper, but still make like it's beyond just kind of paddling in and sending it and like, oh, I hope I make this one. I'm terrified. It's like, no, the girls have technique to it, and it's only going
Yeah.
to get better even too. And I think that's just so cool. And it's been so fun to watch as being a part of it, but also just so you just watch finals with like Molly and Katie out at Chopes or whatever, and it's just or at Pipe, and it's just like this is so cool. And all of us girls who have surfed help get it to that point, and
Yeah.
that's really cool too. It's like we all played our part from way back in the day, way before my generation, all the girls before me, all the way up to now. And um I just can't wait to see, in another like 5 years. I mean, you go surf with Aaron Brooks and you're just like, what on earth? Like at Pipe or something. Like, okay, you can go on that one. All good. You go. Like your turn.
Yeah.
She's just no fear. And it's just really, yeah, it's been amazing to see. I'm really proud of all the girls and um, it's just going to keep getting better. So I think that's
Yeah.
definitely been the biggest area of improvement on the women's side. Yeah. That I've ever seen.
That's
Oh,
awesome. Now, what do you think
yeah.
they still need to improve on?
Um, I think the air game still has a long way to go for the women. I think you're seeing way
Yeah.
more girls in the air and being, more tricky and doing their. I mean, Sierra Kerr is doing some crazy air stuff, but I think on a whole, just the consistency. Like you watch
Uh-huh.
the men surf at any high performance wave, and they're gonna do some nice rail turns, some great carves, and then probably finish with an air reverse at the end or a slob grab or maybe an alley oop in the middle of the wave. Like these are all names for, different types of airs. And I don't feel like the girls have that consistency. Girls can do them or they'll do them in a free surf or maybe a little air reverse here and there, which is sick. But I think like that consistency of actually throwing them down in every heat, which you see on the men's tour, that's not there. So I think there's definitely that's the biggest area that I
Yeah.
think we're going to see women,
Yeah.
push
I
over the
agree.
next few
I
years.
think it's only a
Yeah.
matter of time though.
Yeah,
How about
definitely.
for yourself? Where do you think you've developed in your surfing over the years and what do you still want to work on? I know you kind of mentioned it throughout the podcast, but
Um, I think I think for me, continuing to push in those waves that scare me, I just don't want to look back and ever regret it. Like, oh, I should have just taken more risk or more chance. And it's really hard for me. I mean, I get really scared to where it will like grab a hold of you and you almost feel paralyzed sometimes. So that's more of like a mental thing for me, but I guess I just never want to look back and regret not taking the chance when I had it, in a heat. It's like the best time. You might never get that again, to have
yeah.
pipeline to yourself and have a wave coming towards you that scares you, but you should do it, and try. And so I think I can continue to push pretty hard in that area. Um, as well as what I kind of said at the beginning is just some repertoire. I've been working on a lot of
Uh-huh.
kind of like laybacks and that sort of thing. I'd love to just have a little bit more variety to my surfing. So those two things for me have been a big thing I've worked on this off season. I hope I can kind of apply this year. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Oh,
Well, we're gonna
yeah.
we're gonna do a special wrap it up version for this episode. So, Lakey Peterson, what voice note would you give yourself as your rookie year, 13 years ago? And what would you like her to hear?
Oh gosh, buckle up, young lady. No, I think I would tell her that don't be afraid to fail, because I think a lot of my career I was so scared of failing, or like I was going to let someone down or myself down. And I guess, yeah, not being afraid to fail is like really a superpower, because you can push beyond those moments of being fearful that holds you back from your best surfing, your best performances. So I would say, Lakey, don't be afraid to fail and embrace it all. And if you're failing, that means you're trying. So you're doing something right.
Well, I
Yeah.
know you didn't fail too hard because you're still there 13 years later. Lakey, thank you for the episode. We're so excited to watch you this season. We'll link the schedule and tune into World Surf League to watch Lakey go after that world title in her 13th season on the World Surf League. So thank you,
Heck
Lakes.
yeah.
Best
Thanks,
of luck.
KG.
We love you.
You're the best. All right. See you guys soon.